Powered by Riverside FM.
May 27th, OTAs start for the Minnesota Vikings today. And this is really, in my opinion, the start of the 2025 season. Although these are voluntary OTAs, not mandatory OTAs. I think the mandatory mini camp starts June 10th, June 11th, something like that. You're going to start to see more pieces to the puzzle in terms of the Minnesota Vikings, their personnel starting to get all together, more so than like the rookie mini camps and stuff like that, because you still have pieces missing. But the OTAs, man, starting to kick off today. So I'm really, really excited. And when you think about the Minnesota Vikings, there is a buzz around this team. So this is why OTAs are really, really important, because you're getting more pieces in the house. You're getting more pieces in the house to work with. And it matters. The more and more you can start to build that chemistry, and I think that's what the Minnesota Vikings are looking for, especially with a new quarterback at the helm in JJ McCarthy. You want to start to fit all the pieces around him so you can actually take a visual and get an idea of what things look like. I think the biggest eyes in the microscope is going to be on JJ McCarthy. And the only reason why that is because there is a lot of investment banked on JJ McCarthy to be able to perform this year to a certain level. I don't think anybody is expecting JJ McCarthy to take the Vikings to the Super Bowl year one, win the Super Bowl year one, but I do think there's a level of expectations. And so with those expectations, I think all eyes are going to be on him when OTAs start. Everybody's going to be looking for great throws. Everybody's going to be looking for the diversity in his game. Everybody's going to be looking for, things to critique about JJ McCarthy. I think the big thing that I want to see from JJ McCarthy in these OTAs is his poise and how he commands the huddle. Like, that is the first step of a quarterback in the NFL. Can he command the huddle? Can he command at the line of scrimmage when he sees things? Is he going to be able to have the opportunity to audible? From all the reports that I hear, JJ McCarthy has a pretty good grasp of the playbook. He's a pretty quick study, smart, quick learner. So poise, man, command of the huddle is what I'm going to be looking for. And then the big thing I'm going to be looking for is how he processes Brian Flores' defense. Now, that is what I want to see. And you kind of saw it last year from him, where Brian Flores' defense gave him a little bit of trouble in practices, but right before that preseason game versus the Raiders, he was like, man, it's going to feel good to go up against something a little bit more vanilla than Brian Flores' defense. And I can imagine, as Brian Flores is going through his installs for the season, man, I bet that could be a cluster for quarterbacks on the other side of the ball, just because Brian Flores can throw so many things at you, UP Nation. So all eyes are going to be on JJ McCarthy with that. I'm going to be looking for the attributes that he's QB1. He's got to show that QB1 moxie. He doesn't have to be perfect, but again, the level of his play during these OTAs is going to give you an early glimpse of what JJ McCarthy can do. Here's what you got to understand, because story came out again yesterday, and we've covered this to exhaustion. The whole Aaron Rodgers thing, still not signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So all of the rumors, innuendos, whatever you want to call it, man, is people are saying that Aaron Rodgers, he is still waiting on the Vikings. So, you have this week of OTAs. What if JJ McCarthy doesn't look good? That's going to put gasoline on the fire in terms of this storyline that never goes away, in terms of Aaron Rodgers waiting for the Minnesota Vikings. So I think it's imperative that JJ McCarthy looks a certain way in OTAs, If he starts throwing worm burner balls or missing targets, I guarantee you, man, this stuff is going to happen. And this is going to follow him all the way up until really the first game of the season. He doesn't have to be perfect, but he has to have a certain standard of play, JJ McCarthy. Second thing I'm interested in, man, is quarterback 2 battle. Sam Howell and Brett Rippin. You know, I think the Minnesota Vikings made the trade for Sam Howell. I don't think they brought Sam Howell in to be the third string guy, but they did bring him in for depth. And I guess if Brian Rippin could beat him out, then Brett Rippin, I'm sorry, I keep calling him Brian Rippin. Brett Rippin is going to be QB2 if he can beat him out. I just don't think with the things that they've invested already in Sam Howell's ability to play, I think he's a much better quarterback than Brett Rippin. I just don't think Sam Howell is going to get beat out. But I guess if you want to call it a QB2 competition, I guess you could call it that. But I think all eyes are going to be on that. You know, we want to see Howell get those early second team reps. You know, Rippin brings a little bit more familiarity to the offense because he's been in it longer. You know, Sam Howell, though, is a guy, he reminds you of someone that you could just plug in. You know, he's kind of that West Coast quarterback type guy, can sling it, make all the throws. He can get a little bit turnover happy in terms of his interceptions. So my interest is going to be, can he cut some of that stuff down, look pretty good in OTAs, and see what his progression is leading into training camp and into those preseason games. Because Sam Howell can play, man. But he has that up and down game where one week he can look really, really good, and the next week he cannot look so good. I mean, this battle between him and Rippin is going to go deep into August, deep into the preseason. But my expectation is that Sam Howell is going to win that QB2 battle. I want to see the UFDAs, man. All the UFDAs that we've been talking about, I want to see how they fit. You know, the rookie draft picks, I want to see how they fit. It's going to give me an idea of the depth of this team. I mean, right now, it looks really, really good on paper. But until you start to see guys in pads going through some real reps in OTAs and training camps, as I always say, you don't know what you don't know. So it's going to be fun and interesting to see these guys don the purple, go through some valued drills, and see what they can do, because we really haven't seen that yet. You know, the rookie mini camp, they do a lot of breakdown stuff, but again, you're starting to get the whole team coming back. You probably won't have 100% attendance from everybody, but you're going to have a good portion of the Minnesota Vikings in OTAs for sure. What should you watch, UP Nation, Skull Nation, the Purple Gang? What do you want to see from the wide receiving core? I mean, I think that's going to be one of the biggest battles in training camp, is the wide receiver spot. I mean, you got so much depth in that wide receiver spot, so many additions, a lot of speed, a lot of versatile wide receivers. The Vikings can go a lot of different ways. It's going to be interesting to see what they value in that wide receiver room and who ends up shaking out, making the 53-man roster in terms of the wide receiver spot. I think it's easy to say that Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, I mean, those guys are a lock. Is anybody else really a lock? I mean, I know there are players that you want to keep. I know there are players that you drafted, Felton from Maryland. But I wonder how this is going to shake out. I mean, what role is Naylor going to have with all these new additions? Is he still wide receiver 3? I mean, all these battles are going to be interesting, man. That's why I'm just really excited about OPAs. Is there going to be a new scheme on the defensive side of the ball? You've added some pieces, and when I say new scheme, Brian Flores still going to be blitz happy like he was the previous 2 years? I think you're going to see a decrease in that. I've talked about that many a times on previous videos. I don't think Brian Flores wants to blitz as much as he blitzed the last couple years, and now he's got some new pieces. What is that going to look like? Is there going to be a shift in players positioning. They're going to start to move people around. I mean, they talked about this on Vocal Vike with my guy Rap. You know, is Dallas Turner going to continue to be primarily an edge rusher? Or are they going to move him around possibly to the linebacker spot? Like, I wouldn't put that past Brian Flores. Are we going to have people expanding their roles on defense? What is the Minnesota Vikings defense going to look like in year number 3? It's going to be interesting, man. Aaron Jones returns for his, second year with the Minnesota Vikings. What is that going to look like with Jordan Mason coming in? That's going to be a battle. I think Jordan Mason, I'm on record, I think Jordan Mason by the end of the year is probably going to be the primary guy back there. Once he gets more settled, once he gets more confident. What's going to happen with Ty Chandler? What is his role going to be? He's still going to be on this team as a third string back. I don't see him beating out Jordan Mason, or is he going to be cut? Will the Minnesota Vikings be committed to a consistent ground attack? I mean, they've talked about it for years, and it always seems to go away, but this time they've revamped the trenches and that offensive line, man. It's going to be interesting to watch with OTAs starting today, man. Who do you think is going to be your OTA standout? Who do you want to see? UP Nation? Put it in the comments. What are some things when you start to get those early optics that you want to see in terms of the Minnesota Vikings and their OTAs to start, man? I'm excited. Put your thoughts in the comments, man. You know I always like engaging with you guys. I will answer back. OTAs for the Minnesota Vikings start today. Big week for the Purple, man. I can't wait. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It only takes a minute. Hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me to continue to pump out the content that I pump out, that I really enjoy pumping out to UP Nation and the Purple Gang, man. Hit that like button. I really appreciate you. This has been Unconventional Playbook, and as always, I will make sure to see you when I see you. Skol!